Hello everyone. If you haven't seen my first video on how to build one of these things, or at least the general idea of it, you might want to check it out. Today we're going to talk shop. We're going to cover all the details, the maintenance of this tank, and you'll be surprised just how little it is. I mean, I've owned smaller tanks that required more maintenance than this one. So let's get into it. I've made a checklist of 12 principles of good health I plan to cover in today's video, which really applies to any farmed animal or plant, as far as that goes. You might ask how I came up with all this. Well, I just studied the fish farms, copied them. Starting with our first fundamental principle, keep everything stable from day to day. Week to week, month to month. Okay, our second principle, have really good water circulation in your tank. In other words, the problem that some of the people have is their circulation isn't uniform through the tank, and a lot of the water is staying stagnant in corners and under decor, and that's where you're going to get more of the anaerobic growth that you don't want. So in this tank, what I did is I laid some tubes down under the substrate, which is pressurized off the inlet, so that the pump returning the water is forcing water through the substrate into the body of the tank, which is keeping the water circulation and all those critical low, unforgotten places, you know. Some of the contributing factors which helps my tank maintenance is this sump tank. This first compartment right here is the inlet, and this is the polyester filling material. It flows through the lava rock up over into the media, which is constantly moving, self-cleaning, aerated down here, keeps it moving, and then it filters through here into the pump compartment, where it's pumped up and into this manifold right here, as we see. Here's the material I use for the pre-filter. This is the polyester filling material. The pump I use, my choice is DC. It's made by Aqua Marine. It's the 1200, 24 volt, 80 watt. Okay, that covers a few more of our principles. Good tank circulation with 2 80 watt pumps, one active full-time in my case. Keep in mind these pumps can be dialed down, so shoot high. Aeration, I'm using a 20 watt air pump. I'm using with the highest setting. It's the largest of the quiet pumps I've found. And I've gotten superior results from using the lava rock and the moving media in that 75-gallon tank. More ideas I got from the fish farm. Because my heat exchanger is inside the sump tank, water temperature is very stable throughout the whole tank. Maintenance, I guess the first thing is our vacuum, which is this silicone hose that's connected to the drain permanently on the other side. And then the way I do this is I have this little trick where I fill the tank, fill this tube with water, let it back feed through the line, Don't let it go empty here, because you'll suck air. Right now, see, I got water, so I can just go ahead and start sucking. And it's picking up all that organic material on the surface there. It's going to agitate the substrate so that you can pick up most of it without sucking up most of the rock. And it's filtering it through there. And then doing this, the soil substrate plants are, you have to be a little more careful on your on where you're agitating, because you don't want to uproot your plants. And you can see it picks up a lot of stuff. Pretty easy. And make sure you get all the water out of the tube before you stow it away. Well, my schedule is pretty light with this tank. It's about 30 days, every 30 days, if that. I do a vacuum cleaning and scrub the glass. It's been almost 3 weeks now. And we use rainwater to supply the water to this tank. And it works pretty well. I mean, in the beginning, I did a lot of water flow changes, a lot of volume change there. After the tank stabilized, really it doesn't matter. Water changes, 20% or more. It's really about keeping the water you have in there in a good state of health. And once you get that, water changes are not really so important. So I've backed off on the water changes, even though I can do lots of them. It's just not necessary. Think of your tank as a seed. As it matures, it will get easier. And then cleaning the front glass is part of the monthly routine. You just take a pad like this, and one nice thing about this shelf is that you can stand on it. It's a fairly deep tank. It's about 32 inches all the way to the very bottom there, and you can just barely get your arm all the way down there. But you can feel any kind of algae on the glass. You can just work that area. And when you know the algae likes to grow, it likes to grow right there at the bottom. Now I have used CO2 fusion, especially in the beginning. I recommended it. I'm not using it currently. I started the tank with some very inexpensive fish, which was a good recommendation. They didn't quite make it. And I ended up with using betta fish, several of those. It was a big tank, so they've always found a place to hide and chase each other. They're very moody fish, but they kept the tank alive for those first couple months. We're using rainwater, so I wouldn't recommend chlorinated water. It has it's more difficult to get your tank to mature. Not impossible, but definitely more problematic. I'm using UV light and a full spectrum light at 100 watts per lamp. I feel that's adequate. Currently running about 6 hours a day, and some of that's not all with UV, so I think the UV is definitely worth it. It definitely supports the plants better and reduces other problems. I've tried different species of plants, but the Anubis plants have done the best for me. With a new tank, you have to be careful it doesn't get infected or get a cold. I had a problem with blue algae. In fact, I used a product called blue algae slime. Got it off of Amazon, it worked great. Starting a new tank, you want to be careful with making sure everything is sterilized before it goes in the tank. Since you have to do like a water check anyway, it's a good time to flush it out. Since it's a good idea not to add your fish right away, this is a good time to basically let it grow out and build a biomass. Much like making sourdough starter or a good yogurt culture, same thing, it's cultured probiotics. This spillway has worked out pretty good for me. It skims the surface, keeping it extra clean, and the water is always crystal clear.